Welcome back to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
And we are so grateful to have the opportunity today to share with you a wonderful story from our friends at Concordia University, Wisconsin, and an outstanding program, fairly new program at Concordia University, Wisconsin called Project Invest. Joining us today is Professor Eugene Pitchford. He is a professor in the School of Education at Concordia University, Wisconsin, and one of the program directdirectors of Project Invest. Eugene, thanks so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you all for having me. It's an honor and pleasure, and I'm going to do my best to inform your audience, and I'm looking forward to the interview.
Share with us how the idea for Project Invest began.
Well, Project Invest, there were a couple things in the city happening at one time, and it kind of morphed from there. Many of our private schools, like our Lutheran schools and just private schools in general, it's in cases it can be hard finding qualified teachers and having quality individuals in your building, and I guess that can go on the public and private school side. And often the schools are going after the same person. So like for me to get this person, they're going to have to leave Andy's school or Sarah's school. And then now you guys are at a deficit. So Project Invest looked at, okay, where's the need? And most schools have outstanding teacher assistants or paraprofessionals, or depending on where you are, you may call it something different, a teacher's aide. But we noticed there were high caliber, great individuals that could do the job of teaching, but they technically weren't a teacher. And so we went back and said, can we put something together to help the schools get their teachers assistants credentialed and licensed, and when they are finished with our program, they get an early childhood degree with the intention that they will get hired at their school when there's an opening or the right fit at their school. And so we have an amazing group of individuals that in some cases didn't see a lane for them to become a teacher. And in some cases they needed a nudge. And in some cases they just never thought about it at all. But we have some really talented people, and we're like, but you're doing a teacher's job now. Like, you should just go back to school a little bit more. And like, we have like great partnerships with all the schools, and working on really hard with grants to make it affordable. And it's just a really good plan and path for our educators here that want to become a teacher.
What a great way to be able to identify those people who already have the talent and who are already in those spaces and doing the work, and be able to get them to the place academically where they're able to actually fully do this vocation that they're already doing. Why is Project Invest important to you personally?
It's important to me personally because many of and I call them students, but like they're actually in buildings working, but many of the students that we are serving, they're in the community. They work with the most unstable population in our city, and they're good at it, and they're already making a difference. So it's a perfect combination. And one of the positive consequences of our program is that as you develop the person, whether in Project Invest, and to get licensed, credentialed, and to come back into their building ready to teach, that's a person that's already in your wheelhouse. So you don't have to worry about someone else hiring them because you already have them in your wheelhouse. And so it creates a friendly environment to where you're not competing against someone else, and you're growing your own talent. And I love that. But the first part of my response, Sarah, is that our kids in Milwaukee, they need the best of the best. And I feel like at Project Invest, with our program and with the skills they already have, they become best of the best. They become impactful right away. So you're not teaching them urban education because they're already actually in it. and they want to be in it. They chose to be in this program. So it's a humongous need, but their vocation leads them to the humongous need.
And that takes us right into our next question. What needs can be met by Project Invest?
For one, you're going to be a skilled, credentialed, degreed instructor, and nobody could take the titles from you. And the titles don't mean everything, but nobody could take that title from you. You've earned it. You're going to walk into that classroom, and you're going to be one of the best educators in that building. Um, we have a heavy emphasis on cultural relevancy, engagement, learning the learner, walking in the learner's shoes, empathy, um, the understanding that it will be tough, but you have what's inside of you and God-given talents to be successful when others aren't. I teach Project Invest group on Thursday nights, and it's just a phenomenal class. Like, I could go so many other directions because they're already in it and get it to a degree. And we're just cranking out just amazing educators, amazing educators. So yeah.
You mentioned teaching on Thursday nights. How does the structure of this program allow the students that you teach to be able to do all of this all at once in order to fulfill these goals?
All right, so it is an accelerated program. So like our students do have to make a commitment, and then what I like to say is it's more work in less time, but that's kind of how the program works, and you can handle it. Once we get past that, our classes for Project Invest are in the evenings. So they'll do their job during the day, and our class begins at 6 p.m. in the evening. And so it gives them time to get a little food in the system, check in with their families or if they have kids. But we find that uh, this can only work in the evenings. And so that having courses in the evening allows us to work with them, because if it was during the day, we couldn't do it. They would miss work, miss salary, and we don't want someone to miss work or salary. So we do it in the evenings, and for the most part, it's cohort style. So they go through as groups. They get to know each. I mean, they know each other quite well. They know each other better than I know them. And we are all aware of our own strengths and weaknesses and their strengths and weaknesses, and it's almost like a family of support, but you're just taking class. It's so amazing.
Tell me about the collaboration that it takes to,
Okay.
it, I mean, it's not just Concordia University. There's a lot of collaboration in Project Invest, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of collaboration. That's a interesting question. I think is a very very key question that like we often never get asked. So I'm glad you asked that question. I mean, from grant writers to what's the word I want to say, to mentors, to the faculty on campus doing behind the scenes work, secretarial work, um, financial aid, to different departments where grants and scholarships come up. We get that to the kids, to the individuals who review the transcripts, to individuals that are on call to meet the needs of the students with questions that they may have, um, to the facilities that we use. You name it. I mean, there's someone involved in. But you know what? You often hear in the city, it takes a village in a community, and you literally have that with Project Invest. It's a community feel. People from a lot of different directions, all pulling in the same direction, supporting, wrapping our support and love around the students to ensure their success. It's just a phenomenal process. But I'm glad you asked that question, because there are so many people involved, and that often gets overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
And also, let me say this, and to their families, because we're all adults ourselves. We know the commitments to doing things. Your family has to be on board, and with them not having their families on board, taking classes would be considerably, not considerably, but it would be very difficult to pull off. So just even their families, their husbands, their wives, their children, just giving them that space to do work and to be great. It's just an amazing process.
What are some of the successes you've seen come out of this program?
All right, so one, just confidence. I have seen cases to where teachers, assistants, and paraprofessionals, they will default to the teacher and not share their own skills. So right away, you notice confidence grows. Like it explodes. Um, the best thing I could tell you is that we have some graduates that are doing amazing things in the class. Like that's the end goal. Like the goal is to get the license to teach, but the bigger goal is to be great in the classroom. And we have some individuals that are just doing some amazing things in the classroom. And when you do amazing things in the classroom, you're doing right by kids. So that's the best I could tell you, is that they're just phenomenal teachers, phenomenal, and they love what they do. They have a joy, they have a passion. So that would be the best, just being the best teacher you could possibly be. But I'm also into, like I said, into the confidence, seeing people grow. Like I like watching, observing that, and taking positive educational risks to meet the needs of students.
For folks in the Milwaukee area, how can they learn more about Project Invest and Concordia University, Wisconsin?
So you could go to the website, type in Project Invest. There's some information on Project Invest that it will lead you to either myself or Tanya Johnson, our other co-director, or you can email me personally, Eugene.Pitchford, @cuw.edu, and I could help get the process started for you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing this great story with us, and congratulations on the great success with Project Invest. And we're just so glad to have you with us today, Professor Eugene Pitchford, Concordia University, Wisconsin School of Education, and one of the program directors of Project Invest. Thanks so much for being our guest today.
Well, thank you, and we really appreciate it, and we love sharing our story.
You've been listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support the Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit KFUO.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@kfuo.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.